Well, 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 would you look who it is? It's only our very own Tom Regan, fresh from West Virginia, where he's been playing the upcoming Fallout 76. And look how excited he is. Rather than fumbling our way through the usual discussion video, guessing what questions you guys want answered, we've reached out to the Fallout wiki, Nukapedia, and pulled some of their queries fresh out the oven for Tom to answer right now. Careful, mate, you're gonna have to blow on them because they're scorching hot. Question 1 from BlondeDesert9. Can we have an estimative of how much new weapons and armors we will have?
It's very much going to be an estimate because I don't know, to be perfectly honest. I spent 3 hours with the game and everything I saw so far was kind of exactly what you'd expect from a Fallout game. From pipe revolvers, pipe pistols. Once again, you craft things where you can find shotguns, sniper rifles, machine guns. There's a few bits of World War II inspired weaponry, but in terms of actual numbers, the devs wouldn't confirm and I can't say yet. But there'll be a lot. There's going to be a lot of post-game content and there's going to be high-level drops, so there should be a lot of interesting weapons.
Which weapon was your favourite to use? Is that the ones you used?
I think the revolver was really good.
Yeah.
It just packed a punch. I could find a ton of ammo for it. Headshots were really satisfying on it, so revolver's my shout so far for an early game weapon.
How much ammo is there littered, around the world, just as an estimative?
So, it is very survival based. It's kind of like as you expect in the other Fallout games. You scrounge to find some, but there are certain hub areas where you're directed to either for quests or just points of interest which will have a decent amount of ammo. So I found I was never, it was rare that I was fully out of ammo, but certain weapons would be low. And I have to save the really good bullets for the good weapons for the more intense enemies and the bigger mobs.
Crimson Blade 35 asks, is the player character in Fallout 76 going to be voiced or not voiced?
So that's a good question. From what I've seen so far, it's not voiced, as you'd expect from a Fallout game.
You can voice it yourself though, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, again, you actually can because there's going to be fully in-game chat. Obviously, it's online. And what's interesting about this game is there's a lot of potential for true role-playing because you can build things. There are no NPCs. It's all real people. So
there's not a single NPC in the whole game.
Not a single NPC.
That's really interesting. That's really unusual for a Fallout game.
Yeah, all the quests are kind of delivered in it's almost like a Gone Home style thing where you're in this nuked apocalypse. You will encounter other players and then you find robots, you find voice recordings of quests. So to answer your question, the player will be voiced because you'll be voicing it and you will speak to other players.
Ah, cool, okay. So the story is sort of told through like text, letters you find?
It's read out.
Audio.
It's kind of like audio logs.
Ah, okay.
Like Gone Home style kind of.
Yeah. Bit of a Bioshock vibe.
Which kind of, you know what? Initially I thought that'd be a bit weird, but because it's a nuclear apocalypse, it makes sense there's not many people.
Yeah, sure.
And it makes when you do see someone and speak to them kind of more impactful. So
sure.
Pretty cool.
So it's Rust with a storyline.
Yeah.
Let's wrap the video there. It's Rust with a storyline. Thank you so much.
And on that point, if you're wondering how long the main quest is, devs estimate between 30 to 40 hours. And there's going to be side quests and other events.
30 or 40 hours of audio logs. Next one. The Children of Atom asks, can I sniff Todd's armpits? Okay, next question.
Todd, that's for you.
Yeah, well, we'll wait.
Hurry back.
We'll wait for an official response from that. The Caesar Killer. He's got a lot of questions here. You don't need to ask him twice.
I like that, it's good. That's what
Keyboard ninja over here. Will there be any sort of transportation around the world besides fast traveling / walking?
So that's a good question. From what I've seen, there isn't, but fast traveling's way cooler than I anticipated it to be. So as you go around this huge map, which is 4 times the size of Fallout 4, so it's pretty big. Once you get to a town or settlement, you can fast travel there, like in other games. But more crucially, if you're in a group with 3 other players, you can fast travel to any of those for free.
Ah, that's cool.
Whereas to travel to locations you've been to, you cost caps, which is obviously the currency in the game. So, but if you're doing one quest and you've got 3 other friends on the other side of the map doing something, and they suddenly tell you they found something cool, you can fast travel right to them.
Ooh, Tom, I've got another question.
Zach.
What's the main way of getting caps?
You find them littered about the world, you get rewards for quests, you can also trade with other players, which is awesome.
Ah, that's cool.
If you approach someone in the wild, emote with them, initiate trade, and they say yeah, you can set a price for an item. They can go, I want that.
Are they quite hard to come by, or is there like a constant flow of caps? Are you quite
it's not like every time you loot you find them, but you find them in small quantities, so you do find them fairly often, but not enough to make you loaded all the time.
Ah, that's so good. Again from the Caesar Killer, Keen Bean over here. Will there be any large DLCs that come with the game?
Good question. So Bethesda were very hesitant to confirm fully what their post-launch content was going to be like, but they said there will be a lot and they're going to be listening to what the community wants. What they will definitely update is they're going to be constantly bringing in these things called challenges, which kind of work like public events in Destiny.
Yeah.
So what will happen is they'll be in a certain area, you'll just see a thing flashing and it would be like defend this area from a horde of certain type of creature, or it will be go and take down this mini boss, or more interestingly, there'll actually be PvP challenges too.
Oh, no way.
There'll be ways that if you're going to kill people in this area, or these people try and take your base, or there's an incentive to go here.
Oh god, so one of your missions that will like flash up will be you've got 10 minutes to go and raid this other player and their base?
Potentially, yeah. They wouldn't say exactly what the PvP challenges will be, but that's what I'd imagine.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good job, Bethesda. You've got me interested. We'll have one more from the Caesar Killer. Will there be an AI animal companion?
So, I asked this obviously because dog meat was the best thing about Fallout 4, let's be honest. Awesome. And they smiled and laughed and said, we're very aware of how much people love the companions of dog meat and they're looking into it. So, for my money, that's a yes. It's going to come down the line.
And if not, then you can just roleplay as a dog.
Yeah, you can just dress up as one.
Crouch around.
Just bark on the mic constantly.
That's how I play every game. Oh, this is a really, really good question. Can you talk about nukes and how they work and what gameplay effects they have? That's from me.
Zakapedia's question is coming in here. Yeah, so nuke is something that you get when you're high level in the game, and it comes as part of the main quest line. But you can choose to use them for that, or towards the end of the game, you can use them just to really mess up the world for other players.
So they're an item?
It looks like it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're not sure exactly how they work, but the main thing we do know is that once a nuke is triggered, there'll be a big warning on the map. There'll be a big circle target zone. It's 3 minutes from that warning until,
oh man, that's so exciting.
Until it comes off. And while initially I thought it was a bit odd because I was like, well, players can get out of the way, so it doesn't really affect them. The reason it does affect them is you can completely destroy players' workshops, which they could spend ages building.
That's brutal. That's devastating, dude.
I mean, you can sometimes save some blueprints, so you can rebuild them, but it's going to be a pain in the arse.
Mate, I mean, that seems like a really harsh punishment because these games are time sinks. You know, I'm thinking about Rust here. If you wanted to take out someone's base, it was an upheaval, you know? You had to put in a lot. These nukes, I hope that they're not giving out like candy.
No, I think they're balancing that with these blueprints so that you can save certain things so that you can rebuild them. You have to get the resources again, but I think they're going to be difficult to get. And interestingly, once the area's been nuked, that area changes. Obviously, it's going to be really high in radiation. You're going to get
oh, that's cool. For how long afterwards? Do you know how long?
A few hours, and there'll be different flora there. There's going to be new creatures which are stronger, different resources.
That's really cool.
It's pretty cool. It keeps it interesting, and then a few hours later, it reset.
So in other games, they sort of have to have server wipes to make sure that they don't get too filled up with objects and the servers get weighed down. Is this Fallout 76's version of a server wipe? They're sort of letting the players with items wipe their own servers.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's actually a really interesting tidbit about this, which I'm going to have an article, because one of the people who worked on this, Chris Mayer, actually worked on Ultima Online and Star Wars Galaxies.
Ah, cool.
And he was saying that he had a problem in Ultima Online where players would drop so many items, it would create a literal black hole in the server.
Yeah.
Sunk into it, and that would be a real issue. But now what happens is when you die, if either you die yourself through PvE or PvP, you drop a brown paper bag full of your items. If you don't collect them, they go.
That's
an easy
great
way for people to get rid of that.
Great.
And each server is limited to 24 people as well, so they've made that so that you can't just do...
That's a hard limit of 24 people.
Yes.
You can have smaller servers, I imagine.
There's going to be private servers post-launch, so people will be able to tweak that. They didn't say when, but sometime that's coming.
Great.
Including mods, which is really cool for those who want that. Yeah, I think Bethesda have been really careful here to make sure that while it's persistent in the fact that you keep your perk cards, you keep your level, items go, and I think that's a way to keep it kind of fair. And I think we're going to dive more into that in articles, but look out for that.
I've got another question. So is there sort of like permanent, are you leveling up your character in between game sessions? Do you know what I mean? So I imagine if you start in a new server, you're starting fresh, but also are you leveling up gaining skills. These perk cards, are they permanent or are they just for that one server?
So no, so each character on each server is just for that, kind of as if it was an MMO. So and you won't be able to have a server list. That's very important. At the moment, you will just be playing on the servers Bethesda puts you into.
Oh,
but
really?
Post-launch, you have private servers where you can have mods and you can have things, but they didn't want to have people come into a world and mess around with it, basically. So to answer your question, you get perk cards when you level up. Which you choose to put into different abilities, and then it's like a stack of cards which have different abilities, and you open packs.
Awesome. And what's the level cap?
They haven't said.
Did they say anything this whole trip? Were they walking around with tape on their mouths?
Yeah. It's their new look, that's what they do.
Great. Also, again, this is just a question from me. VATS is in the game, which is a really odd thing because it's 100% real time, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the worst part of the game, if I'm being totally honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like VATS has been a big part of the Fallout system.
Don't beat around the bush, just say what you think, man.
Tell you how I really feel. Fallout 3, obviously, it was turn-based. Fallout 4, it was more like a slow-down time.
Yeah.
This is fully real-time. From the implementation of what I've seen from my time with the game, which is still work in progress, could change, etc. Basically, you hold down the left bumper in real time and you see the people glowing green. What it does functions as an auto aim, and the closer you get to them, the higher percentage chance of you hitting them gets.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's really fiddly because if you're running and trying to aim and then suddenly you're trying to do that as well, I was like, what is...
So have they implemented it in the game just because it's a Fallout game and it needs VATS, baby?
Pretty much. I mean, I didn't get to experience this, but other players did. That you can get a perk card which upgrades your VATS so you can do individual limb targeting, like in the old games.
It just turns you into Soldier 76.
Overwatch reference.
And also this game's got 76 in the title as well. Okay, I'll tell you what, let's get another question from the community because they actually know what they're talking about and I don't really. Don't Worry I Care asks, are you able to make a town?
Yes. So what's really cool about this is it's an expanded base building system of what you saw in 4. While there are gaps between how close you can have a workshop to other people, and you can also have a camp, which is a more portable version of your workshop, which you can chuck down in random places. Bethesda do want and suggested that people might make towns because you can make mates here, you can spread them out, and that's a community aspect, especially if people properly role play, as I said, because there's no NPCs, so you could feasibly have a bunch of friends in one area that you've made your own. One person could build a little shop, run that, and become a vendor.
Yeah, that's awesome.
System.
That's
and that
so
for me is the most exciting part. Like, it was difficult to play Fallout 76 just in this preview environment and have a full cohesive view on it because so much of what's going to make this game great is what the community does with it. So no pressure, Nukapedia. It's on you.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong, and I always am. But it sounds like it's hard to judge how necessarily good the game is going to turn out because it's reliant so much on the community and what they do with it and how they roleplay within it. A bit like Rust. If you look at the bare bones, who knows how good that game's going to be? And then it was the community that took it to the next level and they started trying to bend the rules and break the rules and make these communities and...
Yeah. I think there are three main things. If you're a casual fan who enjoys Fallout and is expecting something radically different from what's come before, something new, something next gen, you're probably gonna be disappointed. This is Fallout 4.5. This is what started out as an online mode for the game that spiraled into its own bigger thing. It's like the biggest budget DLC I've ever seen.
Sure.
It still runs the Fallout 4 engine. It's just like playing Fallout 4 with your friends, but with some really clever PvP implementation and really clever interaction. In terms of community, yeah, that's totally it. I mean, the private servers are going to be huge. I think once you're in this world, for my test environment, I saw people a lot more often than I would normally. Player encounters will be less frequent unless you really make them happen. And I think when you encounter people in the world, people can do really interesting and special things.
Sure.
And the third part of this really long-winded answer will come down to post-launch content and the support Bethesda gives to the game.
Yeah.
They've said they have a long tail plan of content, but they're really going to be paying close attention to what the community's doing with the game. And you know what it's like in Fallout games. Some people in Fallout 4 just wanted to build things, and they're going to pay attention to that. So I think if the new challenges come, if there's enough exciting variation in quests, and they give enough tools that really spice up the meta, this could be a really interesting experience.
Yeah, you were saying something really interesting about the PvP systems and how griefing works, and do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I mean, I'm sure the community already know this because I think it came out between E3 and Gamescom, but this is the first game where I feel like a company's solved the issue of griefing. I'm sure you know what griefing is, but if you don't, griefing is when a player comes along and basically, like in the World of Warcraft episode of South Park, just trolls and destroys inferior players and makes their life rubbish.
Yeah.
But what happens here in PvP is, PvP isn't unlocked at all until level 5. Once you hit level 5, you can turn on pacifist mode, which means no one can hurt you, you can do your own thing, not even worry about it. But even if you turn that off and want to engage in PvP, if someone shoots at you, it will only do a tiny bit of damage. And unless you shoot them back, it doesn't count, it's not consensual. PvP has to be consensual. And if you don't consent and they keep killing you, keep hitting you and kill you, they will become a target on the map and there'll be a bounty, there'll be a reward for every player to come and get them. So normally in other games, griefing is kind of fun for the griefer. This kind of turns the tables and makes it more fun for the rest of the players. So I think that's a really smart little system.
But I wonder if in other games that, you know, similar style to this, a lot of the adrenaline comes from the fact that you can lose everything at the drop of a hat, and it is quite fun being attacked sometimes, and I wonder if sort of declawing the game in some way might take out some of that excitement, the thought of you can lose everything at any second. Switching on pacifist mode, if you're the type of player that likes being aggressive and likes getting in gunfights with people, and you're walking around and everyone else is in pacifist mode, you might go, well, come on, I've got my teeth removed here.
True, but I think because of the way, if you shoot at someone, I mean, it'd be up to them whether they shoot back. But I'd imagine, again, this is speculation, in the challenges section, there might be an area which is just PvP.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
That would serve that type of
Because I can imagine walking around shooting people wanting a fight and no one's shooting you back, and you go, brilliant. Well, why have I got all these guns for? Why have they added guns to this game? If it's just Viva Pinata and building a lovely little garden.
I mean, there were some people in our play session that literally just went around just with fists, just going over and whacking everyone. So you can definitely do that. And it is quite amusing. People are just like, no, quit it. I don't want to play.
Finally, last question. How much info do we have on cross-play?
So this is the first question I asked, pro journalist. Basically, they talked to Sony about it a while ago and Sony said, no, we don't do that. Now, they are doing it. They said they are looking into it and they really want to make it happen post-launch, but it's not as easy as flicking a switch, direct quote. There's a lot that goes into it, as you'd imagine. So they want to implement it and they're looking into it. I'd imagine it will happen, but they haven't set a date on it.
Okay. Tell me if I'm wrong, you seem lukewarm about the game.
I'm not lukewarm. I think because Fallout game is such a rare occurrence, when a Fallout game comes along, it's a really big event, right?
For sure.
And I was kind of expecting more in the way of new mechanics. I think in terms of just for a single player perspective, for me, it's more of the same. If you want that, if you want a single player questing game that's Fallout 4 with your mates, you're gonna love it. But for me, it's what the community does that makes it interesting.
Yeah.
For now, it could go either way, but in 6 months' time, 6 months after launch, it could have created this amazing community that does incredible things with the tools there. I think Bethesda have created a really interesting, unique tool set, but the verdict's out for me on whether a casual fan, someone who's not, really into Fallout, would get as much from it as a die-hard fanatic.
Mate, thank you so much for your questions. You're very knowledgeable. Turns out you did actually go to America and play the game. We all thought you were skiving off at home.
I did buy an American flag. I was ready to take convincing selfies and not go, but I thought I'd make it out.
Great stuff, thank you for that. Guys, make sure you keep it fandom. And if you're a fan of the Fallout series, head over to Nukapedia for goodness sake. Do yourself a favour. They are such lovely guys and girls over there. Thank you so much for your questions, those of you that submitted them. Just keep an eye out for Children of Atom, okay? Keep your armpits well away from him.
Yeah, thank you guys. Obviously this is just me conveying what's been said and my thoughts on the game, but we're going to have exact quotes in articles coming at you right now, so feel free to check out FANDOM.com and type in Fallout 76 and you'll see the direct quotes from the lovely Bethesda.
Absolutely, thank you so much guys. We'll see you for the next exciting chat.